Hello and welcome to the GAMRs podcast. Today you're going to have me as your host, Ryden, and unfortunately Justin can't join us today due to various reasons. We've also got with us Lawrence.
Hey everybody.
And we have Michelle.
Oh.
To start us off, just so you know, I guess a lot of you guys who follow us, follow the TK family, etc., will know that in Japan, Dynasty Warriors 8 was given a reveal. We've put up a few things on our blog page. We've been following stuff that Koei Warriors has been putting up with translating the Japanese web pages and stuff. So yeah, we'll start our discussions on there. First off, I think there's two new characters which were revealed. We've got Yujin, and the name skips my mind.
Li Dian.
There we go.
Li Dian was the second.
Yeah. We've got quite a few Wei characters which have been revealed in the first batch of, character models and stuff. And then we got two Shu characters and two Wu characters, which have been revealed as well. So, what do you guys think of, what they've shown so far with regards to the new models, the new characters, etc.? A couple of screenshots.
I think it's interesting. It looks like the new designs are kind of going back to sort of Dynasty Warriors 5. I think especially like Zhao Yun's a real design, but it's seems like a bit of a throwback. I mean, I really like Sun Shangxiang's new outfit because it looks just feminine but still sort of tomboyish. To be honest, I'm surprised they sort of announced 8 so soon, considering we've just had Empires coming out in Japan. I think it was mainly just because they're using the same for 7, so it kind of makes sense to sort of get this out, this early, but at the same time, I don't know. But I'm just waiting for the new Shu characters, the new Shu reveal, to be honest. That's my sort of interest in this.
Don't worry, Michelle, I'm quite the same. I'm after my Tiger Generals to be unveiled. I want to see what they're looking like in this round. Quite interesting, quite interested to see what some of the the new characters from 7 will look like with some new costumes and stuff as well. So
yeah, one thing I've kind of noticed with the CGI renders for Dynasty Warriors 8 is that they're all almost in like the same poses as the Dynasty Warriors 7 ones, just the different outfits. So it's kind of weird that they said that this was based on the Dynasty Warriors 7 engine, but you look at the renders and it's like it stands out when you see some of the poses. Like Cao Pi's reveal, his pose is the exact same as the one from his 7 render. And it's, how much did they carry over from 7 exactly?
I think I think that's kind of what one of the big criticisms would be is the fact that it doesn't seem. I mean, apart from the costumes, it doesn't seem a lot different. Mm-hmm. They're supposed to be reimagining the Three Kingdoms story. So I'd like to see how they go about doing that. I think the story was told really well in 7.
Right.
I'm just trying to think what the other. They had a series of modes and features which they were, they announced for the game. I think it's been enhanced. It's on the DW7 engine, but it's enhanced graphically slightly.
Yeah, it looks like a step up. Sorry, go ahead, Michelle.
I don't know if you heard it or not. I swear I read somewhere they're doing a new sort of difficulty level where it's basically like beginner, but you can do sort of these mad combos just with one button. I was like, I'm sorry, but beginner is easy enough. You do these sort of mad combos with one button sort of thing. I don't know.
No, yeah, I heard.
Karen.
I was about to say I heard about that, but I didn't hear too much of it. I heard it was pretty much like a one-button system that you'd be able to do your attacks and your charge attacks through just mashing out the square button. And I don't know. It's Dynasty Warriors on beginner, like you said, and on easy is already easy enough.
Yeah. I don't know what they're trying to achieve with that.
It's like they get accused of being sort of a one-trick pony as it is, and they're doing this, and you can imagine certain websites and that will be quick to sort of pick that up.
Yeah, I think some already have. As soon as that was announced, that was kind of the thing that a lot of them were picking up on. I've just pulled up the Tumblr, the post that I put up on Tumblr. It's supposed to have the biggest cast of in a Dynasty Warriors game, supposedly over 70 characters. Then there's the new actions, things like there's a Storm Rush, Variable Counter, and Awakening move, which are supposedly based on your weapon versus your enemy's weapons.
Okay.
As far as I believe, if your weapon is overpowering the enemy's weapon, you can perform one of these particular actions. I mean, I have to look into more detail exactly what all of that is. But there was what was called a Storm Rush, a Variable Counter, and an Awakening action.
That variable counter system in regards to your weapon being stronger than your opponent's weapon, it kind of reminds me a little bit in how Dynasty Warriors, I think it was 3 XL, and how Dynasty Warriors 4 also would have it later, where if you put the difficulty at a certain level, the enemies would have a certain weapon. Like if you put the difficulty on very hard, the generals like Ma Xiao, let's say you're fighting in Yiling, generals like Ma Xiao, Zhao Yun, they had their 4th weapons rather than their 3rd. So it makes me wonder if they're kind of bringing that system back to Dynasty Warriors 8, where certain generals, depending on the level, would have, let's say, their 4th level weapon instead of their 3rd, depending on the stage.
Yeah. Be interesting to see.
Because it was something that was in older games, where if you had the difficulty set at a certain level, their weapon was upgraded. They would have their... like in Dynasty Warriors 3, if you fought Lu Bu on hard, he had his 4th weapon. So if he hit you with his 5th charge attack, it was a lightning elemental. And the weapons had their elements and their stats appropriate, so you knew you were fighting this character with that weapon at the time.
Yeah.
So if it's taking a system where your weapon has to overpower an enemy's weapon, are they going to bring back that type of weapon system? And are the computer officers going to respond to it in that way?
Yeah, I'm quite interested. I'm quite interested to see how this comes about. And if it is something similar, I'd like to know how they're tweaking it to feel like it's something new as well.
Right. It could go in a totally different direction as well with the weaponry.
Yeah.
Speaking of the new weaponry, I believe Yue Jin and Li Dian both have new weapons to themselves, right?
As far as I'm aware, yes. Because you've got the blade, whatever the weapon was called. It was the spinny blade on a stick.
I think they named it like Wheel Halberd, or Wheel Halberd. For Li Dian.
I'm just trying to think what the other there was dual. It was dual swords or
2 hook swords for Yue Jin.
Yeah.
The reason I remember that for Yue Jin is because I remember seeing the screenshot of the hook swords.
Yeah.
And I remember going, Yue Jin is going straight Cabal on people. For anyone who's played Mortal Kombat.
Yes. Yeah.
They gave him. He's going straight Cabal with his weapon. That's it. I really like the designs that they gave Li Dian and Yue Jin. I'm not sure I like I like some of the new designs, but some of them look like steps back, as like Michelle mentioned. Like Zhou Yu's design, I absolutely love.
I like that.
His design is, it looks like a strategist, but you see the armor underneath. So he looks like the strategist that's, in the front field, like he was in history. But Zhuge Liang's outfit, it's like they just said, we're gonna put a lapel cloth on him, button it down, and that's a new outfit.
It doesn't look like doesn't stand out like anything different.
Right. It just looks like, okay, we're gonna paint him a little bit more green, put a lapel cloth over him, button it down, and there's his outfit.
Yay. So Michelle, for Liu Bei, would you like to see him with facial hair or without facial hair?
Without. I'm probably the only person who'll say that, but yeah.
I mean, okay, I'm sure there'll be the DLC costumes, but
it's like if you don't like the outfit, because I noticed a lot of people have been complaining about them. I'm sure there'll be the DLC, so you can just change it back to 7 or 6 or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't mind Liu Bei without the facial hair, without the mustache. But that being said, it's odd in Dynasty Warriors 7 because you introduced Liu Shan,
and he looks as old as his dad.
Just a bit, because Liu Bei looked older in the previous games. Then they make him look younger in Dynasty Warriors 6. I guess to kind of emphasize why Lu Bu would call him younger brother. Because even though Liu Bei was the oldest of the 3, he looked the youngest, if I'm not mistaken. Or he was, I think, the shortest.
I believe
to kind of emphasize that relationship.
I believe it was you I was having a conversation with regards to it would be nice if they had maybe 3 character models for each, or a series of character models for different time periods. So you had a younger, and you had, sort of mid-age and the older versions of the characters. Just kind of see a time progression. At least then they differ from their sons and everything else.
Right, but I would like that as alternate outfits, as alternate models. Like you could, I think, even change the outfit itself a little bit.
Yeah.
To make it an alternate worthy of an alternate costume spot, and then also make the character age differently. Like someone like Zhao Yun already looks young enough, so give him an outfit where he looks older, and change the armor around a little bit.
I'd like to see older Cow sisters.
Oh God!
I think everyone would like to see the Chow sisters older.
Yeah.
Because it's Year 194, Da Chao and Xiao Chao look like they're both around 18, if not younger, for Xiao Chao's case.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still fighting in the year 224. Sun Ce and Zhou Yu both died, and they still look 16 and 18.
And it makes them look like perverts.
Yeah. Yeah. It makes the Wu army. It makes the Wu army look like a bunch of perverts. Granted, soon the ending for the Wu army in Dynasty Warrior 7 did not help.
Yeah.
In this assumption. But I'm just saying.
Let's enjoy this.
Sun Xuan carrying Lian Shi. Let us enjoy this to the 4 men of Wu. Okay, sure. Whatever. Innocent picnic.
Wasn't it by the docks as well?
I think it was, actually. Yeah, they need to make them at least a little bit older.
Yeah.
I mean, Xiao Chao can still be younger, but not 16.
Yeah.
For Dynasty Warriors 8, I wonder why their focus has been so Wei related.
Yeah.
with the releases.
Whether or not that's because of the Omega Force's preference to the Wei Kingdom, or because the new characters that they've announced have been Wei, so they've had a bit more focus in that area.
Maybe. Because the two characters they introduced, Li Dian and Yue Jin, have a big part at the Battle of Hefei.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that they got added just for the fact of finally Zhang Liao is not the lone soldier in that fight. Now you have Zhang Liao, Li Dian, and Yue Jin for the Wei army during Hefei. But the thing that strikes me as weird is they have, I think, 8 Wei officers announced. 3 were added in Dynasty Warriors 7XL.
Yeah.
They added 3 Wei people, and now they added 2 more. So now Wei is 2 up on, I think, the other kingdoms.
Now
Shu has a Shu.
Now I'm wondering if there's any other characters to going to kind of make it out of the woodwork and be announced as new characters from any other kingdoms.
I've heard rumors that there's going to be someone from Wu, so I'm hoping it's maybe like Lu Su, maybe.
I could see Lu Su, but Wu already has 3 strategists. I think that'd be the only thing that works against him. I mean, if they want to try to spread it, is what I mean. Because Wu has Zhou Yu, Lu Meng, though he's technically a war general strategist, he's both, and Lu Xuen. So, but if they add Lu Su, then great, because they need him also as well, because he plays a decent role in the Wu's growth. Who else in other kingdoms? I'm trying to think of anyone they could add for Jin.
Jin's a little bit on the thin side, isn't it? Still, but they were only introduced in 7, so
yeah, I'd give them some time to grow a bit. But I'm trying to figure out who would they add, because Jin doesn't really have a lot of people that they could add, so to speak, because they come at a time period where the soldiers, you could say, start thinning.
Yeah.
Like Shu has a few that they could throw in from that time period, and even a little bit earlier if you wanted to get technical with generals who just have longevity. Like if they wanted to, they could add Liao Hua as a Shu officer, because he was the only one to have been around. Granted, I don't know how true this is, if this is historical or if this is fiction, but he's the only one to have been around from 184, the Yellow Turban Rebellion, in his 20s, all the way through to Shu's demise in 263. So they could throw him in to help give Shu someone with that longevity to go through the game series. Because Shu's ranks start thinning as well later on in the game.
Or unless they just had sort of Zhao Bads become sort of an official member of Shu, maybe. Maybe.
Thin out Jin even more.
Yeah.
I can definitely see that, because I don't think Xiahou Ba should have been added for Jin. I see the logic behind it because of the Xiahou family being loyal to the Cao family, then later the Suma clan. But at the same token, he spends majority of Jin's story mode in Shu.
Yeah.
So I can see him being added to Shu as an official Shu Kingdom member.
But you'd kind of have to fill him in with someone else, because taking away characters from Jin is like.
Yeah.
Shu will just be like, you took Sima Yi from Wei, we take Xiahou Ba, we're good.
Yeah.
But yeah, if they move Xiahou Ba, then I wouldn't object to it. I wouldn't mind them moving Xiahou Ba to either Wei or Shu, since he fits either one. But in the long run, taking people from Jin, like you said, it's already a thin roster.
Yeah.
So they need time to at least grow before they take people out from their kingdom. One thing I did like from Dynasty Warriors 8's designs that's been bugging me since DW 7 was Sun Shangxiang's outfit. I'm actually glad that, because the first thing I saw when I looked at her outfit was, funny enough, her hands. Because in DW7 she has an archery glove on one of her hands. She's acknowledged as an archer in the story of DW7 by Huang Zhong. She has an archery secondary Muso attack in the air, yet her archery level is a 2 out of 3 in DW7. So she doesn't have proficiency with a bow, but she's acknowledged as a bowmaster, as an archer. So I'm looking at this as maybe they were intending for her to be an archery user, and then they backpedaled. Because her outfit has a glove like an archer would, one glove for when she strums the bow.
Yeah.
And she gets referenced as an archer. So it made me think maybe they were going to make her an archery user, but they backpedaled, and then they didn't give her the mastery for it.
I guess they did. But I mean, considering that's what she was specialized in on 6 as well.
Right.
I guess that they probably were going to continue that, but there was so much fan feedback to say that that's not right. We want her like she used to be.
I guess it seems kind of silly for that to be a fan feedback, especially with how they did Wei Yan and Guan Ping, because Wei Yan and Guan Ping have their own mastery. Oh, not Guan Ping, Guan Suo. They have their own mastery, where Guan Suo has the nunchucks as his weapon, but he also has a Tonfa mastery in his skill tree. Wei Yan has the double Volge as his weapon, but he has the twin swords in his skill set, in reference to him being a sword dancer in history. So I thought they could have just easily done that with Sun Shangxiang. Give her a skill tree, but have Bowmaster in her skill tree somewhere.
Yeah.
And then that would have at least made it up to me, in the sense of her being an archer, her reference as an archer, and then all of a sudden having a 2-in bow. It would have been nice to give her the the bow mastery, but instead they just left it as 2 stars. And it's kind of like, okay, then why did you build her up as an archer?
Yeah.
So when I saw the 8th design, I saw, okay, does she have an archery glove? I look, she doesn't have one. I'm like, okay.
Yeah,
so
she's got 2 gloves on.
Does she have 2 gloves? I didn't even see a glove.
Gloves. Yeah, she's got 2 gloves, 2 red gloves. I'm looking at a picture of her right now.
Oh, okay. So she has 2 red gloves at least.
Yeah.
When before she had one arm open and one arm with the glove on.
Yeah.
Which is standard for archers. So I know it's a minor thing that I'm going on about for minutes on end on something that's seemingly like a minor detail, but it just bugged me a little in 7, where they would talk about her being an archer, give her an archer's accessory with 1 glove, and then
not make her an archer.
Right.
In any way.
Completely forget about the archery stuff we talked about.
She's an archer, just don't give her a bow.
Exactly. Yeah, she can shoot the bow, just don't give her a bow. Huang Zhong will praise her, but don't take that praise to heart. But like I said, a minor thing, but it's just something that bugged me in retrospect for Dynasty Warriors 7 when I was going through the platinuming for 7 and working on developing everyone. That bugged me with Sun Shangxiang for some reason.
Mm. Now, a couple of other bits that were translated from the website. There's things like as well as the story mode, they're gonna have the usual gallery stuff, and the training mode. But instead of what appears, what they had in 7, where there was the conquest mode, they're gonna have a free mode. Which I don't know. I mean, I liked the conquest mode on 7, and I thought that was a good idea. I don't know whether they've kind of rushed this and just thought, I know what, we'll just let you play those levels all over again, and that's it.
Maybe that's. I mean, people complained about the conquest mode. People wanted the free mode back.
Yeah.
But in my personal opinion, XL did the free mode just fine.
Yeah.
With 7. Just give you the story missions, have them still in the story selection. Granted, you couldn't pick the sides, but have the missions available to you in the selection screen, and then select your character. So to me, XL gave you a story mode for 7XL. I should specify. They gave you the story mode with a free mode attachment, but you couldn't switch sides, which wasn't too bad. But it still gave you the free mode and the conquest mode and the legend mode.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, why did they get rid of the conquest mode? But obviously fans weren't too fond of the conquest mode.
Yeah.
Some people thought it was too repetitious, too many missions mimic each other, all the same thing. And I'm guessing they're taking that to heart, and now they're just saying, okay, free mode is back. Which makes me wonder where they're going with the story mode now.
Yeah. Yeah.
From what I've heard, it's going to be basically like 7, where it's going to be based on factions, but they're also doing, they're kind of doing what they did in the previous games, have sort of what-if scenarios as well. I don't know how that would work.
Okay.
Or if it's like 2 separate parts.
The way that sounds is kind of like 4.
Yeah.
Where you had the faction-based Muso mode, but you played it from start to finish of that faction, and depending on what you did during certain missions, you would get a what-if scenario. Like if you were playing Wu, and you did the Yellow Turban Rebellion a certain way, and you went to Sushui Gate, and then you took care of that, and then you played Hulao Gate, you would get a what-if scenario of Dong Zhuo kidnapping the Chow sisters in DW4, and you get a whole bunch of different what-ifs off of that. Like, what if the Yellow Turbans were an active presence after the Yellow Turban Rebellion? I mean, granted they were, but what if they were bigger? What if Zhang Bao took over and became a threat?
And that was how you had to get some of the weapons in 4, if I remember as well.
Right. I think some of those missions, and also how you got some of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, the mission I mentioned with Dong Zhuo was how you unlock the Chow sisters in DW4. Which gave you probably, like, the creepiest mission fail screen, in my recollection. If you failed that mission. I mean, the first thing you see in that mission fail screen is Dong Zhuo grabbing whichever Chow sister you couldn't rescue by the arm in his DW4 look, which was already creepy as it was, with this big grin on his face and laughing. And I was like, whoa, okay, back up. When I first saw that, I was like, okay, easy, okay, never mind. Okay, he's just gonna, okay, black screen, please black screen.
Well, there's a thought, how gruesome do you think Dong Zhuo will look in 8? Is it possible to push it even further?
Now, see these other factions. I'm quite interested to see what these characters are going to look like in this, this run.
Yeah.
Su Rong, she's gone through a heck of a lot of changes.
Yeah, she's gone through quite a few changes, but a lot of them are mostly go back to the default design.
Yeah.
Like, it's based on the same base, but not exactly the same. Just the same basic design of, okay, we're going to make her look tribal. End.
And I wonder what they do with Lu Bu. I wonder if they keep him as the black kind of outfit, or they go backwards.
I hope they keep him with the black armor, honestly. It gives his faction color, at least. Because in DW7, Zhang Liao wore black armor when he was under Lu Bu's forces. So if they're keeping it in that pattern, Lu Bu, I guess, should keep the black armor just for the sake of this is his faction.
Yeah.
Because he carried it from 6 and then to 7 now.
And it does look pretty evil. It does look quite intimidating when you encounter him.
Yeah.
He's a scary guy.
Yeah, I love Lubu's design from DW 6 and 7. I think those are probably my two favorites for Lubu. I mean, I loved being able to use his DW6 outfit in DW7. That was.
I think I prefer his 6 outfit myself.
It's a tough call for me. Yeah, it's a tough call for me. I like his 6 outfit just for how. I want to say how bulky it makes him look, because it makes him look that much more intimidating, especially on top of red hair.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough call for me between the 6 and 7 outfits. I like both though for Lubu. And granted, I think Lubu's one of those characters who's actually gotten better outfits as the series progressed.
Yeah.
You know, the only exception being 6 to 7. I mean, where everyone else's outfits were kind of, I don't want to say bad, but iffy. In Dynasty Warriors 6, Lubu's was a noticeable improvement.
Which made the difference, yeah.
Right. And in a sea of just bleh outfits, his popped out more.
They kind of went a little, with a lot of the characters, they kind of went a little cartoony, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, Dien Wei with the ball and chain. I mean, why?
And his sex slave outfit.
Yeah, I mean, really, I don't know what they were thinking with Dien Wei on that one. You have short. I mean, this is gonna sound terrible, but you have short, stumpy, angry, bald dude in pretty much as you described it, sex slave attire with a ball and chain, thinking he's Jet Li.
No, he's one character. I think looks really good in the 8 screens.
Oh yeah, his Dynasty Warriors 8 outfit is probably my favorite.
He looks, he looks pretty mean.
He looks like a bodyguard.
Yeah.
He looks like Cao Cao's bodyguard now.
Yeah.
But that 6 outfit, oh man. I don't know what they were thinking with 6. Six.
Like, never mind Dien Wei. Sun Shangxiang.
Oh.
Oh, what the butterfly outfit or whatever it was.
It's just like, what is this? What, was whoever designed it colorblind or something? Or
I like
this just like frothings?
See her outfit.
I like the call.
Her outfit really stood out because it was just, it was different. She was the most different character. She stood out like a sore thumb, didn't she?
Yes. I like to call her outfit in 6 the sunflower outfit. It's the only way I could describe it. It was just bright.
Yeah.
And it wasn't even so much a question of colorblind. It was just a question of why. Why was this outfit approved?
And it's like, as much like Li Bei playing as Sun Shangxiang and getting those cutscenes with that voice actress, I was just like, I can't actually do this.
Okay, her DW6 voice wasn't that bad.
I mean, it's really improved in 7 though. I think it's the same voice actress, actually.
I think so. Every voice improved in 7, in my opinion.
Mm.
Like, everyone, it seemed like, I don't want to say, and, sound kind of bad in saying this and saying everyone stepped up for 7, but it sounds like everyone stepped up for 7.
But it seems like the roles of, the dialogue and everything else have been taken more seriously. It wasn't, didn't sound like they were reading off a script as such,
Yeah, you could say that.
And the conversation seemed to flow a lot better in 7.
Right, and there was more emotion into the lines.
Yeah.
And even the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Like you said, it didn't sound like they were just reading the script.
Mm.
It sounded like they put actual, you could say, their voice acting chops into 7 for the story and everything that they ran with it for.
And I wouldn't say it's to do with the fact of the voice, the caliber of the voice actors or anything like that. It's probably more to do with the fact that the scenes weren't set for the actors when they were put into the studio. So they didn't know how they were supposed to be feeling, what exactly has gone on or anything like that. They were just given these lines and they had to say them.
Right. I think it's mostly the direction too, because DW, I think 5 and 6 had a lot of the same voices as we do now. And like I said, the voice acting caliber now just shot up for 7.
Yeah.
Even though it's the same voices, I think it's just the question of the voice direction.
While we're on voices, though, I wonder if this is actually going to get an English voiceover cast when it comes overseas.
The eternal question with Koei games nowadays.
I mean, I would love to see I'd love to see the English voice cast, an English voice cast come back into the series of games, but from current trends, I have a feeling it's not going to happen.
I will say this: if it doesn't happen, I will be disappointed.
Yeah.
I don't say that to be, bitter or rant or angry about it. I'm just gonna say it from the standpoint of, with and I keep saying this again and again. It's like a broken record with me now. With Warriors Orochi, it's understandable because it's 130 people.
Yes.
With Dynasty Warriors Empires, just using the Empires franchise in general, you're not recording a lot of voices. The voices are rehashed from the previous installment, save for one set of lines, because I listened to the sound edits for not the sound edits, but the gallery where they unlock the voices.
Yeah.
I listen to those sometimes just to hear the quotes and see the quotes. And the voices are rehashed from that main game and the XL game, except for the last section, which is the tactics exclusive stuff, the Empire stuff, the council stuff, the strategies. That's all new dialogue. The fact that they didn't bother to rehash the voicing for 7 Empires, it doesn't bode well, in my opinion, for their direction for what they're going to do.
No.
Because that's, like I said, they're just rehashing voices for Empires for the most part. So it's going to disappoint a lot of people, myself included, if 8 doesn't have an English voice cast. Because now that means your main series of games is going to be digital only on PSN.
Yes. Yeah.
Once again. So, I don't know what to... I mean, granted, I'd probably still buy the game like the hopeless sheep I am with Dynasty Warriors games, unless they really screwed up 8 by some, something that happens, like either it being rushed because they're using the 7 engine, so not much has changed, or things have regressed that badly. But I'm just going to look at it as why, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And for Michelle, Dynasty Warriors 6 and 7, Sun Shangxiang is the same voice. I just looked that up. Both Sun Shangxiang representations in 6 and 7 are the same voice actors. So yeah, it's just that their voice acting just really, like I said, stepped up for 7.
The other thing is, there's another, it's another one of these similar to the voice thing. It's something that people want, but whether or not they're going to get it, and that's an Xbox 360 version of the game, because most of the recent games have not received, and it's Empires is one that they could have done it with, because it's a standalone game. Yeah. Right.
Right. I don't. That's the other thing I just don't get. I mean, the 360 releases, it's just, I can't see why they wouldn't give the 360 releases a shot at least anymore. I mean, they released Warriors Orochi 3 on the 360 at least, but for the Dynasty Warrior series not getting a 360 release, it just seems strange that now the 360 is getting relegated to, there's the Omega Forces spin-off series, so to speak.
Yeah.
Like, they might get... I think they are getting Ken's Rage, at least, the 360.
They are. And
Ken's Rage 2.
They're getting Ken's Rage 2, and Ken's Rage 2 has also been announced that there will be a Wii edition at a later date. Now, while they say that Dynasty Warriors 8 is PS3 exclusive for now, it could receive a similar treatment where it could receive a Wii U release in the future.
Right.
So, but I think there's very little chance of it hitting Xbox 360 in Japan. Just depends on what the decisions are made when it comes to shipping it overseas.
It being PS3 exclusive for now, I don't take that as meaning anything because the Dynasty Warrior 7 was announced similarly.
Yes.
Yeah. It was announced originally with the only for PlayStation 3 logo. And then later on, it was revealed it's only for PS3 in Japan. The West will get it on the 360. And I'm hoping they would do the same thing for Dynasty Warriors 8.
I'm hoping so too.
Yeah, and I'm saying this from the standpoint of only a PS3 owner. I don't like the fact that the Koei brand is taking from, the 360 end. Granted, 360 isn't a strong market in Japan, but technically we're not talking about Japan on this case.
No.
Because they did it with 7. 7 didn't get a 360 release in Japan. 7 got a 360 release in Europe and in America. Warriors Orochi, same thing. I don't think there was a 360 release in Japan for Warriors Orochi 3. But it got one.
Oh, yes, there was.
There was a 360 release for Warriors Orochi 3 in Japan?
There was also a PC release, if I believe.
Wow, okay. The PC release I didn't...
I may be wrong on that one. It may have just been Excel that got a PC release in Japan. Obviously, the PC release that got released in Japan never got a release over here.
Yeah, I think that was like a bundle of 7 and 7 XL put together.
That was it, yes. Something like that. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Okay. But just in general, we don't have to be referring to just the Japanese market. Because I know the 360 market is pretty much dead in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's been that way for years. But you could just do maybe a 360 release in the US and in Europe, and then see how that goes.
Yeah. And I mean, the thing is, I know... that we have people like Chin over here who have, they send their requests over to Japan to obviously put our feedback across, but it's, in their opinion, it's still, we're still such a small voice, and we're such a small market with regards to these sales, especially in America, because when Chin's talking about it, he's talking about it, and they will only listen to his voices being from Europe, not from America. So,
right, because the American side has really no voice in terms of community management. But some people would make the case of going out and getting a PS3 if you want to support the series, but in the same token, not everyone can go out and get a PS3.
No.
I mean, if it was that simple, I would have gone out and got an Xbox 360 for Halo 4 right now. Because Halo 4 is probably the game that makes me want to get a 360. But that being said, it's not as simple as going out and shelling $200 plus tax plus...
For a single game.
Right, for not only just a single game, but then also having to pay the $60 a year for the online service.
Yeah.
If you're going to get Halo 4, that has to be factored in terms of the pricing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not as simple as going out and just picking up that platform, because then you also have to take into account money. The economy isn't exactly the greatest in America right now. So it's you can make the case of, yes, go out and get a PS3 to support the series, but you can also make the case of, well, it's not financially and economically feasible to get another console. Because I'm one of the few probably homes around in this country that has one console, for the gamers, I should say. For gaming wise, I'm probably one of the few houses that has one console, the PS3. I still have the older consoles, the GameCube, the PS2, the Xbox, and all that, but I have one current gen console, the PS3. So like I said, it's a case of give and take. Yeah. Yes, you could probably get the other console, but it's not exactly the best option.
Yeah.
Just a little. Yeah.
Now, talking about things that may disappoint you, I assume you've seen the Ultimate Ninja Storm 3 trailer.
Mm-hmm.
With the
I saw that.
new features.
Yeah, I saw the Storm 3 trailer with the ring outs, the fight video for it.
Now, you're a big fan of the Naruto games and stuff. You obviously weren't that impressed by the ring out system, I assume.
Not at all. No, it's I'm gonna go into this from an animation standpoint and then from the gameplay standpoint. The animation standpoint for the ring out, the animations for the ring outs look stilted. I know it's early on in Storm 3's development, and Storm 3 comes out in March 2013. But right now, the ring out animation looks like the character slides across, they hit the ring out, and then they just sent flying off like Team Rocket.
Yes.
We're blasting off again. That's the ring out animation. Yeah. And for something like Naruto, it's off-putting to see that.
I'm surprised I'm surprised there wasn't a star as they got right to the end of the background.
Right, exactly. Because in the game like Storm 3 or the Storm series in general, the animations are always so beautiful. It's so flowing. It's always so colorful. And to see something like that, where it stops as soon as they reach the edge of the ring, and then they are sent flying across out into the sky and then onto the ground, it just looks so wrong to see something that shoddily animated. Like, no life to it. It's just that their body freezes, and then they just get set flying off. That's just from an animation standpoint.
Let me tie this rocket to you.
Yeah, basically. It's like, okay, you're being ring out. Let me just do that, and then, phew, you're gone. The one animation that does look nice is the partner save animation. That actually looks like a cool animation, because if you get at the point of being wrung out during a fight, if your supports are still active, then you can call in the support to jump in, grab you, and then throw you back. That animation looks nice on the support's end. The character fighting still looks kind of stilted in the whole thing, like their body's like frozen. But the support animation looks well made, because you see them jump up, they grab, they twirl, and then they toss you right back in. That looks like a nice animation. But the ring out animation is just, I don't know what they were thinking for that one. I don't know if all of a sudden that they got lazy with it or something happened. I don't want to say lazy with Cyber Connect 2, but it just looks, it doesn't look as good as it should.
Right.
That's just me going off on an animation standpoint for that. The gameplay standpoint of it, I don't see the purpose of a ring out system in Storm. The Storm games were never built on ring outs. The whole purpose was you were supposed to fight your person in an enclosed environment, and then whoever won. I can understand that maybe they brought out the ring out system for the projectile users, like the people online who would like to use Deidara, or the puppet users, like the people who would use Kankuro or Sasori, and stuff like that. But in the long run, the ring out system just seems like an easy win. I
wonder how that will be used on, during online play and stuff.
See, that's what worries me. It'll take one hit. Granted, you have the substitutions that you can just, click the trigger and then you'll just substitute. But also what it has to do is just wear out your substitutions, hit you with one jutsu at the ring's edge, and the fight's over. It doesn't seem like something that would feasibly work with the Storm system. And the whole time someone can just turtle you the whole mess of the match that it'll turn into, because it will turn into a mess with the ring out system in my view. With the projectile users and characters like Minato and Naruto with the Rasengans that blast you all the way back.
Now there's supposed to be some stage interactions as well. I don't think they were that well showcased in that video. I don't know what it would be like on other stages. And again, with regards to the ring outs, I don't know what stages will suffer from, having ring outs and which ones may not.
Right, right. Some of the stage interaction I've read about is that some trees, I think, could be destroyed in the arenas. Some pieces of the environment will be destroyed. Like the trailer fight between Minato and Sasuke, you saw a little bit of it where the edge of the ring broke open a little, the fencing.
Yeah.
That gave way. And you saw what looked like a building under construction.
And the bars being knocked down and stuff.
Right. I think that's what the extent of the stage interaction. Which, again, it seems like a nice detail, but it's just not well implemented in the long run. I mean, it's just there for show. And I don't know how much that's going to affect the game itself. Well, because while it could be a nice little detail, we saw some slowdown during that trailer. During the stage interaction. That's what worries me, because Storm, it had its moments, but it didn't have massive slowdown. And in that little trailer, I saw a little bit of slowdown when they were doing the stage interaction, when Sasuke did his Kagutsuchi that Minato blocked, and then it caused the pillars to fall down. I don't like that little bit of slowdown that we saw just from that stage interaction bit.
Yeah.
It's just I don't know. It just seems a little too gimmicky for the Storm series. Granted, the Storm series is meant to be a little bit gimmicky on its own, but if their whole thing was going to be trying to appease the anime and manga fans, when was a fight in Naruto ended by ring out? These are shinobi trying to kill each other in most cases. I don't think a fight would end via ring out. I'm just saying. I mean, I don't think Sasuke would stop his hunt for vengeance if all of a sudden he fights Danzo and goes, Danzo fell off the bridge. Fight's over. I just... You see where I'm coming from?
Yeah.
It's just, why? At that point, it's just, like, Naruto and Sasuke, they wouldn't stop fighting if, let's say, Naruto and Sasuke clashed, and let's say Naruto won the clash, and all of a sudden Sasuke falls off the first Hokage statue at the Valley of the End. Let's say that happened. You think they would stop fighting?
Sure. Why not?
Whoa, he fell off the ring. Well, this fight's over. It's
Sasuke blasted off again. This fight's over. I'm going home.
you can imagine, that being in the anime. That's how quickly a fight could just end.
Looks like Team Taka's blasting off again. Sasuke Suigetsu Karin sent flying. Oh man.
They're probably going to give Kishimoto an idea for how to finish the current fight in the manga. Just saying.
Ring out.
Ring out. Ring out how? You're on a bloody field. Ring out. No. What are you doing?
You fell in a rabbit hole. Ring out.
Well, technically, Toby's dimensional warping counts as a ring out, I guess. Ish.
Oh, so he's going to be a right cheat character then, isn't he?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if they gave Toby the ability to just warp back in the ring? They'd be like, ring out. Nope.
You mad, bro?
So ring outs are not a good thing.
In my opinion, absolutely not. I'm against the ring out notion. If they make it an option, then I'll be okay with it. But I'd rather they're not implemented at all. Because for our game that's supposed to be focused on the whole appeasing the manga and the anime fans and giving the Naruto series a game that's based mostly off of the look of the anime and manga, doing ring outs just seems completely out of left field.
Yeah.
I mean, there are stages that are currently in, like, Storm Generations, that I could see them implementing the ring out system on. And the unfortunate thing is, the stages that I'm thinking of, they shouldn't implement the ring outs. Because the final valley is built for ring outs. if you want to go that way, or Valley of the End, whichever you want to call it.
Mm.
That stage is built for ring outs, but I don't want to see ring outs implemented because that's where Naruto and Sasuke fought. They didn't fight to a ring out.
They did now.
They did, yeah, they did now. Your optional objective is to ring out Sasuke.
Everything you once knew is gone.
Sasuke versus Danzo. The bridge on the Land of Iron, I can see being worked for ring outs. I don't want it being worked for ring outs because Sasuke had to kill Danzo 10 times. Why would you ring him out? I know this is all me getting very overly literal with the whole ring out system, but that's just how I feel on it. It makes no sense for something that's supposed to be steeped in the anime and the manga for them to introduce something like ring outs. DBZ had ring outs, but it was only for one stage, the World Tournament. And that's because the World Tournament in Dragon Ball Z had ring outs. If your feet touched anything that wasn't the ring, the fight was over. So it made sense for the DBZ games to retain that gimmick.
But this Naruto thing is just complete junk.
Yeah, it's out of left field. I think it'll hurt the game balance itself. Yeah, as if Storm games were balanced to begin with. But it'll make it worse, in my opinion, the balancing for it. Because now you have to account for moves that do blast backs and, you know, can enable knockbacks and supports and stuff like that for the stages with ring outs enabled. And it just doesn't fit, in my opinion. It doesn't look right. It doesn't fit within the context of a Naruto game.
Now, on the theme of new things, and obviously we've got Ultimate Ninja Storm, which is out next year. There was also a post about Mass Effect 4 during the last week or so. They released there was a blog post from BioWare with a few new details on a continuation, maybe, of Mass Effect, of the Mass Effect series. Whether or not it's as far as where they're not continuing Shepard's story, it's supposed to be, you know, from a completely different perspective, and using the Frostbite engine, which Frostbite 2, which is one of the current EA engines to use on everything at the moment. So what are your thoughts on that news?
With if I'm not mistaken, with Mass Effect 4, we'll just call it Mass Effect 4 for now.
Yes.
But for how it's how they're doing it, I think they said that Shepard's story is done. So this next Mass Effect won't focus on Shepard. I think that's official. They're just leaving Shepard as it is. So,
I
spoilers for those.
I think that's a good direction myself.
Yeah, but I was about to say a little bit of a spoiler warning for ME3 and the ME3 ending. So if you've beaten the ME3 ending with the destroy scenario with the highest galaxy readiness, or at least 5,000 points, or something to that effect, now that the extended cut's out, then the fact that they're not continuing Shepard might be a little bit of a disappointment to you. So just as a note for those who played ME3. But overall, I think them doing the Frostbite engine might help, but at the same time, I don't know how well the Frostbite engine would work in an RPG scenario.
This is one thing that I'm kind of worried about with the game. I've no problem with their storytelling, and I've no problem with the universe. I mean, the Mass Effect universe is fantastic. However, using
I was about to say, right now you're probably the only one with no problem with their storytelling.
I haven't a problem. I personally didn't mind my ending, and it offered a nice closure to my story.
Yeah, I personally didn't mind the ending either, but I didn't like the addition of the catalyst in the last 5 minutes of the game. I mean, remove him and we're good.
Well, you know what? I haven't watched I haven't bothered to watch the extended cut because I didn't need to. I've seen what I had to see, and that was, I was satisfied with what I saw and the ending I got, and that was fine. I was fine with it. I can maybe understand some other people's views and stuff. I didn't go through their story, so I went through my story. I have never replayed any of the Mass Effect games because I went through one story. I started on the first game. I went through one story on the first game. I've been through continued that one story on the second game, and then I've continued that one story on the third game to reach my ending. And so I haven't tried to change things as I've gone along and change the way I've played or anything like that. I've lived through my one story, and that kind of thing at the the bit at the end, which kind of made it seem weren't too sure whether he was dead, whether Shepard was dead or not, because he did twitch.
Yeah, that bit is the same in the extended cut, just to let you know.
But everything I saw in my ending was I was satisfied with. So I didn't have to see everything that was going on with regards to people were saying that they weren't sure as to their choices that they'd made with these other races, and when they collect these other armies, as to things that had gone on with them, they weren't sure how it's affected them after that fight, the final fight scenes and stuff. But for me, I didn't need to see anymore. I'd seen them help me, and that was I then jumped into Shepard's perspective and finished that off, and I didn't have to see anything else. The only person I was kind of wanting to see more was the person who I romanced, which was Tali, and I got to see her come out of the ship at the end with Joker, and I was satisfied with that, and they're the only character, and Garrus, and they're the only characters I really kind of cared about to see at the end. The characters that were close to my, the closest characters to my Shepard.
Yeah. For me with ME3, it had some flaws with the ending. It had some flaws, I will say that, in my opinion. Like, there are some things here and there that if you followed something like Arrival, the final DLC for ME2, it doesn't fit with the original ME3 ending. Like, the notion of a mass relay blowing up. A mass relay blowing up is supposed to have the power to wipe out an entire solar system. And in ME3's original ending, the mass relays blow up.
Without that kind of effect.
Right, without that kind of force. Not only did they blow up without that kind of force, but because the mass relays have blown up, there's no way for your entire Alliance fleet to travel back to their home worlds. Yeah. So it's little things like that here and there that just started to add up for the ending. Granted, I don't agree with the whole, let's badger them and let's give them poor reviews and let's rip the game apart because the ending wasn't great. Because the game is a masterpiece until the final 5 minutes, in my opinion. The game itself is fantastic until those final 5 minutes, but everyone likes to say that because the ending was bad, the whole game sucked. I digress.
I mean, ask these people, did you enjoy playing the game at all, Yeah,
and then they go, well, the whole ending soured it for me. And I'm like, the game was great until that moment.
Do you know what was my kind of ending to the game? And that wasn't the end of the game. And that was through romancing Tali, was seeing her face.
Right.
When I saw the, she left me a picture and I saw her face in the picture. That was kind of the biggest moment, and so everything else was going to be a letdown in comparison. Everything else was kind of prepared for nothing to be quite like that. So I guess that's why I wasn't so let down and things like that.
Yeah, that's another moment that people also found was a letdown. Actually, Tali's face being revealed.
I didn't need. See, I was one of these people when it came to the questionnaire before the game was released as to whether or not we wanted to see her face or not. I was one of these people to say, I liked the fact that she, even though it's the character that I had Shepard romancing, it was. I just quite liked the mystery. I quite liked the fact that I didn't know what she looked like, and I was hoping that if she revealed her face to Shepard, that it would be we would see it from the back of her head, so we wouldn't see her face, and you can just see Shepard's reaction.
Right, but that technically already happened in ME2 if you romanced her.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And when it comes to when it came to the picture, I thought that was nicer than having her take off her mask in front of me.
Right, people didn't mind the picture itself, or the way it was revealed. What people didn't like was the actual picture, which is due to other various reasons regarding the picture itself. Right. As some people did some snooping and found out about that picture.
Okay.
So
I didn't.
It's one of those things.
I didn't do snooping, and I think when people do that, they're spoiling it for themselves.
I think it was just one guy who recognized it.
Right.
That picture, and then they realized, wait a minute, I think I've seen that picture before, and then all of a sudden it was found out that it was just a stock photo from something else, just photoshopped. Right. And then everyone was kind of like, wow, that's actually disappointing. Like kind of that they expected them to actually give Tali
a face.
Right, her own face, rather than just taking a stock photo and editing it. So I think that's what hurt people most about Tali's face being revealed. It wasn't so much that, it was done through a picture. It was the fact that the picture itself wasn't exactly her, per se.
See, another thing about the ending for me on Mass Effect 3 was because I felt a closure to the game at that point. That's my story. That's done. I've not gone into doing any of the story DLC. I jumped on the chance of the story DLC on Mass Effect 1 and 2, but on Mass Effect 3, I kind of hit the end of my story and I can't go backwards. I can't go and change things that happened in the past.
Right.
So I haven't bothered with the story DLC that's come out.
Yeah, or else you'd have to pretty much redo. Either you have to redo the game, or actually, I think you could change things a little because the save file puts you.
Yeah, it puts you just before. I think it kind of puts you back on the ship, just before you start that final mission.
Yeah, I think it puts you before the Cerberus base.
But I've done all of that, and this DLC didn't happen, so.
Yeah.
It's not something I wanted to go back into. I've done my part, and that's that.
Right. Michelle, you've played any of the Mass Effects?
No, I haven't actually.
Oh. Okay. We've just been talking about ME2 and ME3 all this time, and Michelle hasn't played any of the Mass Effects.
Michelle, where's my brainwashing thing? That's going to completely wipe your memory.
The neuralizer.
Just look at the flash on the screen.
Yeah, at this point. Well, they are making the Mass Effect trilogy box set.
Yeah.
For 360, I think it's next week, and PS3 owners December 4th, I believe. Is the date.
It's a great series of games. They did lose the RPG elements as they were going through the series, which is what I'm worrying about with this Frostbite 2 thing. They may go a little too shootery on it.
Yeah, because that engine is not tested for an RPG. But they are making Dragon Age 3 using the Frostbite.
Yeah. So who knows?
Right. And I was just about to say, and with with Mass Effect 4 being on the Frostbite engine, there's still the issue with Mass Effect 3 where they're now releasing the Omega DLC in I believe 2 weeks on November 27th.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yep, the DLC that'll take you through the invasion of the Omega Station with I forgot with Arya, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And a new female Turian character.
The very first female Turian.
Right, very first female Turian in game at least.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's something to look forward to for Mass Effect fans in general. If I'm not mistaken, they said Arya's biotic powers are probably the best in the game, which is probably why they only gave you control of her for the DLC.
Yeah. Yeah, imagine her in the. Although actually, it's all cooperative, so should be good. Should be okay in the multiplayer if they shoved someone in. Although they don't actually shove characters in, do they? They just basically put races and attach them to a class with regards to the multiplayer. So
yeah, you could make Arya's abilities class onto themselves if they're not there already for the multiplayer, because the multiplayer has added so much since its debut that that class probably has some of its powers already split up amongst the different Asari and different even other biotics throughout the game.
Yeah.
So that's coming out November 27th for Mass Effect fans at least to look forward to.
Yeah.
To help fill in that little gap in the ME3 story.
Oh, and another thing that's actually due out, is it next week? There's a DmC Devil May Cry demo, which I would urge everyone that's completely putting down the game because it looks different. I would urge everyone to try this game. I tried it back in London, the Eurogamer Expo, and it was so much fun. And it kind of had things that reminded me of a Devil May Cry game with the hack and slash style, and then it also had something with there was things to do with the world and the humor and everything was almost a Suda 51 style of thing. It was I kept thinking of Shadows of the Damned while I was playing it. It was like Shadows of the Damned meets Devil May Cry, and it was a really cool game. So and there was also a video put out with regards to the release of Devil May Cry next year, but if you pre-order, I think you get the Virgil DLC, where you get to play Dante's brother Virgil. I'm not, as far as I'm aware, there isn't a scenario in the actual game where you play Virgil. I'm sure he appears, but I don't think there's a scenario in the game, so you have to buy the deal, either buy or pre-order for the DLC. But that looks pretty cool as well.
Yeah, Virgil in the DmC Virgil's Downfall trailer for the downloadable content. Virgil looks a lot like Virgil from DmC 3 in terms of his move list and his style.
Yes.
Like it looks like they at least kept the essence of Virgil's old Darkslayer style in terms of the swords and the summoning blades around him and fighting with the sword in his sheath and going from there with Virgil. Overall, I was one of the pessimists when this DMC was announced. I was one of the ones who downplayed it, who decried it, who didn't want to see anything to do with this DMC being made to light. And then as time went on, I saw some more of the gameplay, and I realized that if we're going to rip the story, DMC 4's story wasn't that great to begin with. So maybe this story could actually be better. So I'm looking at it now from the perspective of I'm going to at least try the demo when it comes out. And I hated this going into DMC, the initial reveal of this new DMC. So I'm willing to try the demo when it comes out. I'm confident the gameplay is going to be good, because the gameplay looks nice for this DMC. But what might turn people off is the story, and compared to the original DMC. But in my opinion, DMC 4 already hurt the DMC franchise.
Yeah. I don't think you can go in. I thought DMC4 was quite boring and stale, and I mean, okay, 2 wasn't that well received, and there was a lot of negative attitude towards the second one. The third one was a nice pickup, but yeah, 4 was just, for me, it was really stale. I don't even think I completed the game. It didn't interest me that much.
Yeah, DMC4 was just, I don't know. It just felt, if you're going to introduce this character who's going to be connected to Virgil and Dante, at least make it more interesting, his story. Because at the point of DMC4, his story just seemed as if it was, oh no, he kidnapped this girl I like. Let me save her.
Yeah.
It seemed less involved than DMC1 and DMC3.
Yeah.
I can't really argue for the sake of DMC2 because DMC2 itself was kind of up and down. So, because I will say that DMC2 had its good points.
Yeah, and it's hard to say. I mean, they tried out a few new things. They gave a new character. Just tried things. I mean, the gameplay was not all too different from the first, but there were just things in the game which weren't good.
Yeah. Like, each of Dante's weapons had the same fighting style.
Yeah.
That was a little off-putting. Like, he has a regular sword, a long sword that's thin, and a giant sword that's kind of shorter, but it's larger. And he uses the same style for all three. While Trish from DMC1, who's an unlockable in the game, uses Dante's DMC1 fighting style with some changes of her own and is more varied than Dante. Yeah. But to me, one thing that Capcom kind of did wrong with DMC is almost intentionally avoiding DMC2. Because to me, it seems like they're avoiding connecting DMC2 to the series.
Yeah.
Because they made 1, 2 was ill received. DMC3 was made as a prequel to 1, and DMC3 was fantastic. And then they made DMC4 between DMC1 and DMC2.
Yeah.
So that's partially my issue with DMC as a whole. It just seems like I don't know. It's like they're avoiding DMC2 just for the sake of going, oh, this game wasn't well received.
It never happened.
Let's work around it. Yeah. And all of a sudden, when they could have made a sequel from DMC2,
yeah,
to continue the story, it's just, no. They just decided not to go there.
Yeah. Yeah, which is a bit of a shame. I will say one more thing before we kind of getting late, so I guess we'll wrap it up. I'll say just one more thing before we do. I don't know if you guys have seen our our Twitter feed and Facebook page to see that there's a few art pieces which have gone up from what was the London Games Festival art exhibition. Some of these pieces are really, really cool. Batman pieces, which are they've put all the pieces up for auction. Well, some of the pieces up for auction, and other things going to be staggered up during the course of the next couple of weeks. The Batman pieces are going for extortionate amounts of money. But if anyone does like game art, want to check these pictures out before they kind of disappear, we have got a link on our Twitter feed and our Facebook page. All the donations, all the profits go towards a charity, a UK charity, SpecialEffect, which are a really cool charity to work with disabled people, giving them accessibility with regards to gaming and music and other things. Plus, also, if you want a piece of gaming art, have a look if you can afford it. They're up for grabs on there. But I guess from that, we should probably call it a wrap for the night.
All right, that's cool. We're going to have a link to that in the description, right?
Yeah,
for the YouTube version of this.
Yeah. I mean, I can stick a link on there and let you guys have a look.
Right.
Some of the pieces go. They've only got a couple of days left for the first batch. Some stuff goes live on the 19th, and then you got some stuff going live on the 4th of December.
Okay, cool. All right, it's for an awesome cause, so
Yeah.
you know, it might seem like a large amount of money to get a piece of art, but it's a cool piece of art, and it's going to somewhere worth it. So.
And even if you can't afford it, just have a look at the pieces. I mean, they're fantastic.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've seen a few of them. Those pieces look fantastic. I've seen the Batman ones.
Yeah, and the Batman ones. I think the top one's now well over £700. So they're fetching good money.
Right. Okay, so
that'll be it for the week. Join us in a couple of weeks' time. I'm sure there's a few topics that'll probably come up. We may have other announcements as well. So yeah, for tonight, good night.
Have a good night, everyone. Happy gaming, and take care.